Hey guys, hopefully that wasn't just lagging and I didn't just sit there for like a couple seconds, but who cares? It's Sky doing one of those videos that none of us ever like doing, do we? Um, I'm trying to also eat at the same time, but I just need to get this shit out of my fucking system. My dog is in here with me because my health has been so this week, so he's on edge. You can lay down, you're fine. He's got his bed with him and everything. And on top of that, he's a emotional support dog. So also when I get upset like this, if I've already been having a very bad time, he's like, leave the situation. I'm like, I'm trying to. But so anyways, I've been on the amino groups, the BJD one and the Dolls Are Love one for like a month now or something. I've been enjoying them. But it's the internet. So something always happens on the internet, and something happened on the internet. And this isn't me like vilifying anybody. Please, people, don't go out and like try to tell somebody off or do some nonsense like that. That's not the point of this. The point of this is for people to kind of learn something, hopefully, or, you know, have empathy with one another. I don't know. God forbid we all, try to get along. Somebody posted some pictures, cute little pictures, but one of them said the word savage on it. Now, I know, before I even go into this, all y'all that aren't Indians are going to be like, what? When I say this, savage is a racial term, as in a racial slur. And it's been used since colonizers came over and started trying to enslave, and succeeding much of the time, enslave and kill, etc., Indians, but also for any other continent that had people on it that were not the same as the colonizers. Yes, Mudra, just lay down. Do you have a toy? Hold on one second. What do you have? Do you have a cat toy? Play with the cat toy then. That's fine. Go ahead. I have to make sure because he's in the art room and he never comes in the art room because he's sassy because he's a border collie mix. You want to come up here? That's fine. You want to come up? Come on. This is Mootra. He has his generator on because it helps calm him down. Usually he doesn't wear it in the house, but he's been having a rough couple days. Just like I have. And they're doing so much better this morning. But anyways, so, the whole joy of language is that language takes terms that are inappropriate and turns them into other things all the time. We can start listing them right now. Gay, retarded, gypsy, the list goes on. I apologize for anybody that just got triggered by that. Those terms are not terms people should be using. I'm sure the last one, because everyone likes to use gypsy and boho, was just like, oh, what? Go Google it. I'm not explaining it to you. It's inappropriate. The only people that should be using that are Romani, not everybody else. Anyways, so somebody used the word savage. I very politely, because I don't have, I know, I see you. You're keeping an eye out for trouble, aren't you? I don't have the time. Isn't he beautiful? I don't have the time or energy. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's like, pet me. It helps. You're so staticky right now. I'm going to have to brush you a minute. I don't have the time nor energy to be flipping out on people on the internet. I don't want to. I left that shit in my 20s. I've been that angry teenager. I've been that angry 20-year-old. And because of being indigenous mix, and be Micmac, by the way, hi, and being trans and being two-spirit and non-binary and disabled and you name it, short of being very light skinned, I have a lot of shit going on. So my life is filled with stressors already. Walking into a grocery store and seeing Land O'Lakes butter with its racist ass Indian mascot, and having friends that smoke, American spirits. Ooh, because us Indians and our headdresses were so vintage and cool for you hipsters. Sorry, I'm going to stop right now. But these are the stressors I deal with in everyday life. And I don't hate any of these people that eat or buy or do these things. That would be stupid. But when I explain to somebody, listen, that's inappropriate, and here's an article that I didn't even write explaining why it's inappropriate. If someone ever does that to you, do yourself a favor. Don't turn around and flip out. Don't turn around and be rude. And if you're a moderator, don't turn around and go, oh, well, it's a slang term as well. No, everyone knows this. The worst thing to do when somebody tells you that something is inappropriate when it comes to like, because they are this and what you, oh, are you slipping? What happened? You all right? He also squeaks pretty regularly when there's nothing wrong with him. To say that something is wrong, it's because he couldn't get down. You want my slippers? Basically, it should be rule of thumb for everybody. If you're talking to somebody and you say something and they go, oh, wait, no, I'm that, and that's inappropriate to say about that type of person. Or my friend is that, and I'm pretty sure it's inappropriate to say that about that type of person, and they probably don't want you asking because it would stress them out. Or, like, example for me, somebody in my family is blah, blah, blah. Please don't do that. Like, you don't turn around and then go, oh, well, I thought because of blah, blah, blah. This is an educational time. This isn't when it's that person's job to use their emotional spoons, like their emotional energy, to educate you. That is never somebody else's job unless they have offered to do so. If they then go, if you start making a confused face and they go, I can explain it to you, firstly say, are you sure? Or what should I Google? Because they'll probably really appreciate that. And if they go, yes, no, that's fine, allow them to decide how much they educate you, all right? So be like, oh, can I ask you another question? And if not, it's okay. Don't just assume, because most of us are running on fumes nowadays, especially because of the presidency in this country and yada, yada, yada. And like, I mean, for some of us, like, the fact of if we're actually legitimate human beings is questioned daily. And if we have legitimate feelings and gripes that we should be allowed to express and talk about. So, and I'm not saying I have it worse than everybody else. I make my skin the slightest shade darker, I would probably be dead right now. Like, no joke. And I know that for a fact. Like, that is what it is. I know that I have the luck of privilege of light skin. But it also does mean because I pass, which I hate that fucking term, but because I pass as seemingly a male and seemingly white, I have to deal with conversations like this, not just daily, but constantly throughout the day if I'm around most people, because they assume that I'm in on the colonist joke or the comfort zone that a lot of people who are not those things get in going, oh, I don't have to watch my words right now because one of those people is not here, which I'm not going to go into if that's racism, passive or active racism. I'm not going to go into any of that. I have no time or, like, I'm not putting in the effort right now. But it's a real slap in the face for a lot of those people when they turn around and they deal with me. And I mean, I've had it flip mode on me plenty of time where I've said to somebody, that's inappropriate, please don't say that. And they go, oh, well, I am that. And I go, okay, well, that's fine then that you feel comfortable saying that word to this group of people. But I'm also being one of you or in your same lumped group, whatever, because everybody's different. That's the whole fucking thing. I don't feel comfortable with it. So I'm going to meander on over here or whatever. I mean, like, don't even get me started on the arguments that go on between indigenous Indians, Native Americans, First Nations, whatever the fuck, because we all call ourselves different things because you can't agree on anything. Don't get plenty of us started in, like, the argument over, like, if the word redskins, which I consider to be extremely fucking racist because it was used racially as a racial slur for a long time and still is, if it's racist or not, because there's plenty of Indians that think the term redskin is fine, and that's them. I don't truck with that, and that's my choice, and that's their choice. That doesn't make them bad people. But especially if you are not that thing, and then you proceed to excuse your behavior or excuse the behavior of somebody else. Like, you don't defend one another over passive or unintentional racism. Like, just don't. It doesn't mean you have to jump down the other person's throat, which is the other thing I see happen a lot from allies, which, guys, please don't do this, which is like riding in like some white knight being like, you're wrong, don't do that. It's just like, Yeah, because people learn when you talk to them like that. That really helps. I'm not saying you have to like buy into and that may be my messenger for some reason. I'm not saying you have to go into like respectability politics bullshit and be like, oh, I'm going to be meek and telling you not to do this. But there's no reason to not be civil. And there's also plenty of times no reason to not, you know, like blow your stack if you are that because you're overwhelmed. It's okay to get upset. It's good to try and, you know, get your message across in a way where it doesn't automatically turn into a fight, because that minimizes your own stress. But I know plenty of you out there who have to deal with this shit are going, there's no way of avoiding that fight or that argument or that bullshit. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Which is why when I said the thing, I was like, please God, I'm like, I'm speech to texting, I'm editing the thing real fast. I'm like, please God, please God, please God. This is my dolly space, one of them. Don't let nonsense be the response. Just for one day. Just please no. And this is something you guys are going to hear from me often, stuff about racism and about bigotry towards gender stuff and sexuality stuff and disability stuff, and you name it. You're going to be hearing that from me plenty because I live it every day. Like, it's a current joke, not joke, between me and a spoony friend that when you go to the train station here, the path, they put in a new handicap elevator. You have to hold down the button to get the elevator to move. So when my knees are having a bad day, or I have, you know, heavy ass packages, I'm already having a hard time carrying, and I just got off the path, which probably didn't even have disability seating anymore because it's packed. Whatever, that's shit you gotta deal with when you're me. And then you go use the elevator, and you have to hold the button down, but your hand can't work like that anymore. So you gotta try and lean on it with your butt, but it's the wrong height. Like, so disability friendly. But that's what I'm talking about, like, between the fact that as a country, I mean, every country is, but in America, just where I'm at, you're surrounded constantly with, like, passive and active racism. And I say passive in that people being taught things are appropriate to do when they're not. And no one having ever told them it's inappropriate, like Savage. And I mean, everyone was like, don't you know that's a slang term? And I said from the beginning, this is how much I'm used to dealing with this, because I also have to help people on a daily basis with stuff like this, and help them get through wanting to jump off a cliff, or, you know, like, just take themselves out of this world because they can't handle this shit anymore. Also, back in the day, I used to be a terror on the internet. I was like this weird, I was totally bullied, but I was this weird bully that was like, you were mean to somebody that's, you know, like, not as privileged as you. I'm going to take your throat out with text. And I refused to become that person again because it was aggressive and it never worked well. But so, as a savage, I'm currently behaving as a savage actually does. So for those of you that throw the term savage around as being cool, what I'm doing right now is actually what Indians would typically do when people come up and act like assholes. So like when colonists showed up and started acting like dicks from like square one, we all went, you're being dicks, but how about we tell you that you're being dicks and you stop acting like dicks, because that's called being civil. But we got called the savages while we got murdered and chained up and raped and killed and yada, yada, yada. Still to this day, stuck in various situations that either are in or out of the news of being stuck in sequestered areas, like our land still taken from us and turned into shit heaps for the most part. Like, talk to somebody that's come from the res. I have not. Like, once again, if I had, I probably would not be here anymore, because I'm not that tough. I'm tough as fuck, but like, I'm not that tough. I know I wouldn't have made it out. Between that and like, just, I'm not even going to begin to list Pocahontas, kosher headdress wearing, like, American spirits, vintage styles, which are basically, well, are like basically being like, oh, I have an indigenous looking attire. It's because it's a vintage. Hi, you. Yeah, I know. Next Thanksgiving, if you have the compulsion to put up a picture somewhere of a doggy or kitty with a headdress on, or put one on your doggy or kitty, don't fucking do it. Thanks. If you feel like doing some cute little picture of like the Pilgrims and the Indians chilling out, don't do it unless you are an Indian and it makes you feel better. If you really want to go get that advice and try, then talk to an indigenous person first that you are friends with. Don't eat my food. Thank you. I'm going to stop it here because it's already made me feel better-ish. We're going out grocery shopping a bit, and like I felt it, the thing coming on, which I'm sure once again plenty of you know, which is like I don't even want to fucking leave the house now. I was just having such a nice day. But anyways, and the last thing that really did it, like, I find it funny once again. Life works in perfect ways. It has plans for everything that it does. Clay, come here, baby. Who looks like a mess right now because they've been sleeping with Manx because she's obsessed with Manx. Clay here has been featured on the Dolls Are Love group. And look at her beautiful self. Once again, I got her from Josh. So she's the featured thing. When you open up the group, her pictures go, she's a top post. And so, like, I see this thread, and, like, I already would have said something because I'm the type of person that it's not even necessarily just for me. It's the fact that I know there are other people. I'm almost done, I promise. I know there are other people on there that I hear. You hear that? I hear you. Hold on. I know there's other people on there that also have to deal with not necessarily this, but other versions of. And, like, I want other people to feel safe. But then on top of that, like, hold on. I then, you know, like, send the response. I was like, should I really have done that? And then the main page pops up and Clay is sitting there staring at me. I was like, yeah, I should have done that. Thank you, honey. Thank you, honey. Thank you, Mudra. I'm going to go hang out with my dog and eat my food. I'll talk to y'all later. And for those of you that may be kicking yourselves right now because you're like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person because I'm XYZ and I've done XYZ, please don't do that to yourself. Just learn. Just learn. That's it. Google's your friend. And if you're concerned if you're reading the right articles, check who the article was written by. If you need recommendations on stuff, let me know. I try to minimize the typing and the responding, but you know, whatever. So have a nice, excuse me, sorry, food, I need it. Have a nice day, everybody. If I don't get back on here before New Year's, have a happy New Year. Bye. Mudra, you want to come say bye? He's like, no, you need to get off the thing.